Joining us now is the a spokesperson for the Israeli government, Elan Levy. Thank you very much, Mr. Levy, for being with us. What can you tell us about what is being reviewed by the War Cabinet? I know it's not final until it's final, but the outlines of what we've been reporting.
We're certainly hopeful that literally hell that so many of our children have been through for nearly 50 days now in Hamas captivity will be coming to an end soon. And the details of a prospective hostage release deal are currently being discussed by the War Cabinet. As and when the War Cabinet approves that, it will progress to the Security Cabinet. And from there at 8 o'clock in the evening here in Israel to the full government. As and when the government approves that deal, families of any victims of terrorists in Israeli jails will be able to present an appeal to the Supreme Court. They'll have 24 hours to do that, to petition against the release of anyone who any prisoners who might be released in the context of that deal. But I assure you, as soon as decisions are made and we have confirmed details, we will, of course, announce them to the world, and we hope to end the hell that our hostages have been living through.
Indeed. Would the hostages be released contingent upon the release of the Palestinian prisoners? In other words, that 24-hour period for the Supreme Court to weigh in, the Israeli Supreme Court to weigh in. Would that delay a hostage release in the imminent 24-hour period?
As I said, the details are currently under discussion by the War Cabinet. We're a democratic country. There are several hoops that have to be jumped through before we can complete that deal. But we're hopeful that many of our hostages will be able to come home. We think that this vindicates Israel's strategy over the last few weeks of putting unrelenting pressure on Hamas to release hostages. You know, Hamas hasn't suddenly decided to be nice humanitarians and release them because it realizes that it is evil to hold a 10-year-old baby for nearly 50 days in a tunnel hostage. It's been begging for a breather because it's getting clobbered. And we plan to continue putting unrelenting pressure on Hamas until we secure the release of all of our hostages, all 240 of them. And of course, this war will have to continue until the total destruction of Hamas, so it can never again perpetrate a massacre like it perpetrated on October 7th, and like it's promising and telling us that it wants to do again.
But Israel would agree to these pauses of as much as 4 days, perhaps 5 days, in order to get, sounds like, triple the amount of fuel and aid in, 300 to 400 trucks a day.
The Prime Minister has been consistently saying throughout the course of this war that we will, of course, be open to a temporary cessation of hostilities in order to facilitate the release of hostages from inside the Gaza Strip. But as for the specific details, again, these are currently being discussed by the War Cabinet, and as and when decisions are made, we will announce them and hopefully be able to put them into practice as soon as possible.
Prime Minister Netanyahu said again today that his first goal is the elimination of Hamas, the second, the return of the hostages. And this message has frustrated some hostage families. You've known that some of them have been protesting. But in this case, you see that these two goals are not in conflict?
Exactly. That is not a prioritization. Those are two goals that go hand in hand, destroying Hamas and facilitating the release of those 240 innocent hostages, including children, including babies. We want to get them out, and we're getting them out by putting pressure on Hamas, putting military pressure on Hamas, and by rallying global opinion to put diplomatic pressure on Hamas and on its supporters to release those hostages. Again, the same terror organization that on October 7th burned, butchered, tortured, mutilated, and raped its way through southern Israel hasn't suddenly discovered a conscience. It's begging for a breather because it's getting clobbered. We're putting pressure on Hamas, and we'll continue doing that. And we hope to get all of our hostages safe and sound.
Without in any way diminishing the horror of that and the savagery of the massacre on October 7th, which I do not, can you respond to pressure and criticism internally in the U.S., in the U.S. Senate, importantly, even in Democratic senators who are long supporters of Israel, and around the world, the UN and elsewhere, about the devastation in Gaza, the high number of civilian casualties that this has cost? The World Health Organization saying it's appalled by the latest attack on the Indonesian hospital, the protests against the UN schools. And the U.S. is not, and certainly NBC cannot independently confirm the source of those attacks, but I'm just talking about the results of this fighting. Can you respond to all of that?
Look, the humanitarian suffering in the Gaza Strip as a result of Hamas's decision to declare war on us on October 7th and to fight that war from inside densely populated areas is, of course, heartbreaking, where uninvolved civilians are involved. This is a war. War is ugly, and this isn't a war that we started. It's not a war that we wanted. It's not a war that we even expected. It's a war that Hamas declared on us, and it's a war that we are trying to end, and a war we're trying to end in such a way that Hamas can never again perpetrate attacks against us, because if this war ends before the total defeat of Hamas, you and I, Andrea, are going to be here in the studios again in 6 months' time when Hamas attacks us again. And the U.S. administration knows that. President Biden has said very clearly that he stands shoulder to shoulder with the people of Israel in this fight, that it must end with the total destruction of Hamas, because Hamas is a genocidal terror group that openly says it wants to perpetrate more and more October 7th massacres. So we're doing everything in our power to minimize casualties within the Gaza Strip. Hamas is doing everything it can to maximize those casualties by fighting out of densely populated areas, by preventing civilians from evacuating. And that's why for a month we've been urging civilians to get out of harm's way. We've been facilitating humanitarian corridors that have been attacked by Hamas, attacking our soldiers. But as we move through the Gaza Strip, we're exposing that evidence of how Hamas has embedded itself deep in civilian areas, building tunnels and command centers under hospitals, hiding tunnel shafts under beds. Today, we revealed an anti-tank missile that was underneath a baby's crib. And it is Hamas, it is the terror organization that perpetrated the October 7th massacre that bears full responsibility for all the suffering that we have seen since, in Israel, of course, but also inside the Gaza Strip.
Well, let me ask you this, because you brought up President Biden, and it's very clear he's also said that the toll on the civilians is too high. And other officials have said publicly that the war should be processed, should be accomplished by Israel by better targeting, by using smaller munitions, by not using the bunker buster bombs in the initial weeks in the refugee camp. So there is a growing dispute, and it's hurting Israel in our Congress, with public opinion, and around the world, in terms of funding and support. And political support is important for the level of casualties versus the level of Hamas terrorists that have been gotten.
You know, we don't want to see civilians being hurt. We thought that too many civilians were hurt on October 7th when Hamas massacred 1,200 of our people. And that's why before the ground operation, we urged an evacuation of the northern Gaza Strip. And we think that it is tragic and outrageous that international agencies, including the World Health Organization, resisted Israel's calls for an evacuation. We were saying we want to get civilians out of harm's way. International agencies resisted, and now they're calling on Israel to complete that evacuation
sir, in
under
fairness,
fire.
I watched all of this happen. I reported it deeply. The corridors were not always clear. There was a long delay in getting those corridors that were, and sending people south when there were still strikes going on in the south. And now saying you're going to move south. Where are they supposed to go from now?
We've designated special humanitarian safe zones where we've been coordinating with international agencies to deliver the provision of humanitarian aid. But you put your finger on a very important point. For 16 years, Hamas has been pursuing a deliberate strategy of embedding itself in civilian areas, of building its command centers under hospitals, tunnels underneath people's homes, storing weapons in mosques and schools, because Hamas's whole strategy is based on using human shields. Hamas's whole strategy is based on hiding behind women and children so that it can perpetrate attacks against Israeli civilians and then retreat behind them and make it difficult for Israel to exercise its legitimate and inalienable right of self-defense. And that's why we have spent so long urging civilians to get out of harm's way. I think it's fair to say we surrendered the element of surprise. We could have gone in much stronger, much faster at the beginning. But it's very important for us that civilians not be hurt, because this is a war against Hamas. This is the war that Hamas declared against us, not against the Palestinian people, not against the people of Gaza. And they know that. That's why Israel has placed over 30,000 phone calls, individual soldiers calling Palestinians, warning them that the ground operation is coming, telling them to get out of the way.
For a good part of that time, they didn't have cell phone service because there was no fuel delivered to generate the fuels, and the telecom companies were down. But I take your point about human shields and the embedding and the tragedy on both sides. And
really
I think
cynical and twisted.
We can all pray and hope that this deal holds up and comes through. Thank you very much.
We're hoping. Thank
I
you very much.
appreciate that.